Welcome to Porch Play Chat, sponsored by the American Association for Promoting the Child's Right to Play, or more affectionately named IPA-USA. IPA-USA is the USA affiliate of the International Play Association. And so Porch Play Chats are our way of introducing you to conversations with nuggets of wonderful information from a variety of play experts, people who are just as passionate about play as we are. And so I'm Deb Lawrence, and I'm the president of IPA USA. And with me on the porch is Lisa Murphy, one of our board members. Morning, Lisa.
Good morning.
And with us is Reece Wilson, who is our treasurer. And also Reece is, I'm going to go back to his introduction, the associate professor at James Madison University. And more importantly, he's just got another new job in addition to all of that. He is the director of the lab school at JMU, and it's called the Young Children's Program. And so Reece is here today to talk to us about early childhood and care in a COVID-19 environment, right?
Yes.
Anyway, so Reece is going to help us by sort of walking us through. And so my first question to you, Reece, is how are you helping parents and teachers feel comfortable in what this is going to look like when the preschool opens?
Yeah, that's a great question. And thanks for having me. Hello, everyone. I'm really glad to be here. One of the big things we've been focusing on is developing and implementing a COVID-19 protocol/plan for our school. We, as you said, are a laboratory school, play-based, project-based curriculum, and we serve the university community as well as the greater Harrisonburg, Virginia community. We're in Harrisonburg, Virginia. That's what city we're in. And we're a refugee city, which is sort of interesting too. We're a place where the federal government places refugee families. So we have a really diverse population for being in a rather rural area. And so our COVID plan is very specific, but it's always changing as we think of new things. And it was sent out to families last week as we prepare to open our school in a week or in about a week. And we've thought about a lot of things. Safety at the top, right? So everyone was wearing masks, including children. We serve 3- and 4-year-olds. So masks is a necessity. We are following guidelines from the CDC and the Virginia Department of Social Services, which is the agency we are licensed under in the state of Virginia. And so we're following their guidelines and actually going above those guidelines. So masks, and to get families and children used to wearing masks, I've sent some literature to families to read and to share, ideas that they can do at home before they come to school, practicing wearing masks. I found a really nice electronic story for children about wearing masks that I sent to the family so they could share that. So mask wearing is very important. We're also, our COVID plan talks about, of course, social distancing, which is kind of tough. Mm-hmm. And I'll go back to that in a little bit. I was in some classrooms today, right before this started, and talking to the teachers about what that will look like, and I'll revisit that in a little bit. And also, we've developed an online survey that families can do a health check, a virtual health check every morning before they come into school, which is really a handy tool. They can answer some of those questions I think we're all used to answering now to screen for COVID symptoms and to take their temperature and record that. And then if there are any red flags, I automatically get a text to my phone for any families that might be an issue for. And then when families come to the school, we take their temperatures again. we always had sort of a fluid, open, come when you like, by a certain time uh, uh, protocol. But now everyone has a set time to drop off their children in a place. So we are not cross-contaminating rooms. That's a big part of our COVID plan, is children staying in their own rooms or in their own places outside, because we're still going to go outside a lot, because that's a major part of our curriculum, but not intermingling with other classrooms. And teachers staying in their own classrooms and having the same adults in each classroom. That's really important. So part of that drop-off process is having each room come at a certain time, and the teacher meeting them at the door, taking their temperature real quick, and then they go into school. The parents do not come in. So that's a little bit about our COVID plan. And then if we would have a case of COVID, we would follow CDC guidelines. So there are many scenarios there that we won't talk about today, but that's our plan for that piece.
So Reece, one of the things that I think might be useful for other people who might be trying to figure out, do I open, do I not open, what do I do, is if you could send me, and I'll put it in the Porch Play Chat description, that ebook on children wearing masks. That sounds like a fabulous tool.
Yep.
And
Let's
then
write that down or I'll forget.
I won't let you. I'll remind you. And then talk to us about, once the children have arrived and I think it's a great plan of having a classroom come at a specific time, and then one parent comes up to the door, the child has their temperature taken, and somebody takes them to their classroom, and then another child comes up from the same classroom. So I think that's an interesting way to get everybody in. And then once they're in the classroom, what does the classroom look like, and what's your plan for outside?
Please do not tell me you have hula hoops, Reece.
Oh, God.
No, we're not doing hula hoops.
Oh, thank God. Yes, I've seen hula hoops in classrooms.
Okay, so I was in a classroom today, and the teacher has it set up I think very well. How we are handling it is, first of all, we're only taking half of the normal children we would have, because we are at what Virginia calls phase 3 right now, where we can only have 10 children at a time in a group. And usually we would have 18 to 20 children in a classroom, with a lead teacher and an assistant. And now we have gone down to 10 children in a classroom. So our classrooms are pretty spacious. Yeah. And so that's allowing us to, the rooms are always set up to have interest areas, right? As would be typical in many early childhood classrooms. But we've taken the extra step of actually taping off the floor to help children understand that when they're in that area, that tape is where they're staying for a short period of time. We haven't decided what that will be. It just depends on the needs of the children, right, and their interests. It might be 10 minutes, it might be 15 minutes. And then the children can switch to another area of the room. And some areas are big enough that we can have children interacting with each other.
Oh, thank goodness.
How is this going to be enforced, Reece?
Well,
that's where I get concerned.
I think.
Get back. It's not time to change. It's not time to change.
I'm being hopeful that we have really skilled teachers here, all right? They are university employees. They have degrees in early childhood. Our lead teachers have master's degrees. Not that a degree is everything, but that experience is helpful, right? And the teachers know they need to talk to children, and that's really important. And having good conversations with them every day about, this is what we're going to do, this is why we're doing it, what concerns do you have, in child language, right? What bothers you about this? What makes you sad? You know, will this work for you? Those sorts of conversations that I know our teachers will have with the children. And I think that will be helpful, right? And I really think, because 3 and 4-year-olds are really smart. And I think that with a little bit of practice, it might take a few days or 3 or 4 days, that they'll get into a routine and it will be smooth. I know that we're not going to be able to social distance all the time.
Physical distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do our best. And I also don't want children feeling like, oh, I'm afraid to get near somebody.
Yeah. Right.
That's the piece of the puzzle, Reece, and I feel like I know you a little bit more, so I'm gonna be a little bit more candid with you. That's the piece of the puzzle. Like for the last 5 years before COVID, it seemed like that was the conversation coming up, is that my job is to keep this is a safe spot. You're safe here. It's my job to keep you safe. The word safe was being used constantly. And I'm so worried that some of the visual messages are going to be sending the complete opposite. And that's like you're not safe here. And that's why you can't step over this tape line. That's why I have a mask on. That's why you have a mask on, because we're not safe here. And have you had that conversation with your staff?
And we have, and I think it's really important to when a child, because it's going to happen, right, goes into a different area, just gently guide them back to where they were, or maybe ask the other child, oh, so this, you know, Lindsay would like a turn here. Would you be okay going to another area? And doing it in a calm, friendly manner. I think that.
So it's solo interaction with that interest area.
Yeah. Yes. But some areas are big enough that there will be 2 children in an area, which I think is important. So today I was looking at the Lego table. We have one of those really big, large Lego tables, and with drawers on both sides. So there could be a child at each end, and they could still interact with each other, right? And watch what they're doing. And so interaction is still really important. We've also talked about, okay, we want to be outside as much as possible. We are really fortunate that we have several different areas at our school for outside play and movement.
Nice.
Yes, so we have a typical playground with a large climbing structure, a few swings and a slide, and a mud kitchen. And so one of the classrooms will be there. We have another, we call it the, what do we call it? Another area outside that has bicycles and a bike path and a sandbox and lots of different toys, outside toys. So another classroom can be there. And then we have a large green area off to the side that isn't fenced in, but it's really big and it has a building around it on 3 of the sides. So that's another space we can use.
That's very fortunate.
Yes, that is. And we had, as part of our getting ready to go back to school meetings last week, we had a nurse from the health department come in and talk to us about what we should be doing with children to keep everybody safe. I know there's that word, but it is important. And her recommendation for outside, and I found this really interesting, and I still don't know if I'm comfortable with it, but she is saying the CDC guidance is for being outside on a playground or outside in general, children do not need to wear masks and they do not need the social distance.
Wow.
So, and I asked her this 3 times to make sure it's correct.
And you held up the recorder, right?
Yeah.
So I'm still grappling with that though. I think I'm comfortable with children not social distancing outside, but I'm still thinking maybe they need to wear masks. So I think I might do a compromise on that. And
I think that would be my approach, Reece, only because it's not just the children we have to be concerned about, it's the teachers. And if, somebody falls and the teacher has to go. So
I really think though that this is the candid conversations putting our faith in our families and the trust piece. And it seems like you're
Yes.
doing your due diligence so strong. I mean, a text to your phone if somebody has a fever in the morning, that's where I think that if we really are able to put our trust in our school communities, that's why I think I feel okay taking the stance that the kids don't need to be physical distancing because we've done our due diligence.
Yeah.
And definitely outside. So I am glad to hear that you're potentially reconsidering modifying some of that, at least during the outdoor play.
Yeah, I'm set on that now, that we will wear masks outside, but there will not be social distancing. Yeah.
And so, Reese, the other thing, I'm not sure. I know it's hot here, so I don't know how much
Yes.
shade you may have there. And again, we're moving towards September, so it's going to get a little better. But
Yeah.
is the majority, I mean, I'm thinking, I always tell my classes, you need to have at least an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon outside. More is better, right? Is
Yeah.
there a way that you can go majority outside and only come in for, so that they don't have to social distance and they're not confused that when they get into the classroom, though, rules can be different and they're used to that.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious what the plan is for how much time might be outside in a day, because I know other programs
It's
are
like they
doing that.
flipped.
Yeah, it's like a flipped classroom, right? I'm more
And
outside than I
yeah.
am in.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We are going
Good.
to be outside the majority of the day. Because we do have shady areas, we have trees in all of the areas I talked about before. And September, it's not too bad here,
Right.
80s. We'll just have to make sure everyone has their sunscreen on and lots of water. We've put something new we did this year is we had hand sanitizers put to the walls outside in all the different play areas. So that's really handy for hygiene, and that'll be helpful too. So
Do you have storage out there, Reese? Are you able to bring some of the inside stuff out and let it
yes.
live or relocate?
Yeah, we've already done that. We have a couple of sheds and we have lots of materials outside. So that is the plan, is to try to be outside as much as possible. And we do.
How many masks do you require? I'm thinking I've had so many little kids with glasses, and by lunch, there's fingerprints everywhere. They've been dropped, they've been spit on, they've been, so clearly one mask is not going to be sufficient. I haven't heard really anybody talking about that.
Yep. So this is in our COVID plan, that each family will supply 5 masks that we'll keep here. And then if one gets, and they can be cloth or they can be, this kind of mask, but I would think most of them will be cloth. And then they can be sent home at the end of the day for washing, that sort of thing. The same thing with bringing items from home. We just let children do that, but that's in our COVID plan, that you can bring your blanket and one thing to sleep with at rest time. But other than that, leave everything at home.
Does that go back and forth, the luggage?
Yeah, that'll go back. They'll have it for the week and then they'll take it home and wash it at the end of the week. Yeah.
And so what has been parents' response? But
That
as we're starting to wrap up, so talk to me about, how are parents feeling? I will tell you that my son and daughter-in-law are like, oh God, please, please. Because we did cousin camp last week where my husband and I go over it with with 3 of the grandchildren that live in Pennsylvania. And Rod and Melissa went on day trips to get out of the house. And on Friday, the last day of cousin camp, we took the kids in the car to Sonic drive-through to get ice cream, right? And you should have seen their faces. Reagan and Roy said, we're going outside the house. We're leaving the house. Yes.
I
Like,
know.
where's my mask? And I'm like, well, you don't need your mask because we're not getting out. And, but it
Yes.
was like, they haven't been out of the house. I mean, they have a beautiful yard and a swimming pool and a trampoline and, so they're out of the house, but they hadn't been
Yeah.
away from the house. And
Yeah.
so Ron and Melissa were like, we feel like humans again because we've been stuck.
Yeah, I think we all feel like that, right?
Mhm.
To some extent. I know I was really, I mean, I love my job, but not being able to go in since March, right? I was so excited when August got here. I'm like, yay, I get to go to work again in person. So I think children are really, and families are excited about coming back to school, but at the same time, they are concerned, which is, natural and understandable. And I really thought we would have a lot of families say, we're going to wait until there's a vaccine. But that I was wrong about that. That has not happened. I had a meeting. Well, we could only take half of our normal children, as
I
I
wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was really hard. And then I met with the families that are coming back. We had a WebEx meeting on this past Friday, and I went over. They had been sent the COVID plan before, but then I wanted to answer questions, right, and give them time to talk. And that went really, really well. And I said to the families, now that we've had these conversations, and if you think you're not coming back, which I would totally understand, please let me know by Monday, which was yesterday. And out of 40 families, we only had one family that said that they weren't comfortable right now.
Wow.
Yeah, I was amazed. I thought there would be more.
Well, that just shows that you had a good plan, right? That they feel like their children will be safe.
I think so. Yeah.
Reece,
I'm sorry, Lisa.
That's okay. No, I just thought of this right now. You're new to this position.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, I just started 3 weeks ago.
You have no prior relationship with these families at all?
I don't.
Wow.
I was the director here from 2014 to the spring of 17.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been away for 3 years. So
it's just long enough for everybody to age. So,
everyone's changed. So the families are all new, but I've had wonderful responses.
I'm so glad. I just thought of that variable though. I mean, that could add a little layer, an extra layer of like, that everyone's
been really understanding. I even yesterday had an email from a dad who's, usually stays home and takes care of the family, and mom works. And he said we've had a few personnel changes over summer. And he said, if you need an extra set of hands, I would love to help. And he has a background. Wow. So I've had really good responses from families.
I'm so glad.
Well, and I think that's a tribute to how well you've planned, because if you're a stranger to them, then that just adds more anxiety, but obviously you've done a good job in allaying their fears and having a good plan. Yeah, so Reece, I think you've shared some wonderful ideas for programs, and I think the idea of keeping them outside more than inside is even better.
Yeah.
And so if you could share with me the e-reader book that you found for families,
I'll do that.
And any other resource you think might be helpful, I'll stick those resources in the description on YouTube of the Porch Play Chat so that people have some tangible resources to use as they try to maneuver.
Yeah, I will. And those also, there are several stories that I'll send to you related to COVID, and they're also in Spanish. So
wonderful.
So I'll make sure I send those things to you today.
That would be fabulous. So thank you so much, Reece, for participating in a Porch Play Chat. It's been great, and I think it's a valuable one that people need to hear as they begin to try to figure this out.
Right.
So for more Porch Play Chats, be sure to visit IPAUSA.org. And there you can find our links to Facebook and Instagram and to the YouTube channel. So thanks so much, and everyone stay healthy.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Reece.